Welcome to Life in the Mind, a neurodivergent podcast for neurodivergent people. My name is Zeb and Murray.
And I'm Murray Spear. And today we're talking about screen time and neurodivergence. The pros and cons and the ways that we relate to it. And sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really bad. On the pros to start with.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Because we were talking about this before we started recording, weren't we? And actually we came up with a few. There's a really good one you're talking about around kind of because you have it with you, your phone, what you can do from that point of view.
Yeah, in terms of, especially for neurodivergent people, the navigation of getting to places and planning things ahead. Like the Google Maps, they're so good that you can actually see where you're going to go. So if like people get anxious about it, I know if I can visualize stuff, it's really helpful and really helps me to kind of know where I'm going, because then if I don't know, and actually just thinking about it, when I went to go to America, when I did my training for some horse stuff I was doing, I literally had to do that with Google Maps. Is great because there's an arrow, so you can go down roads and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay. And actually these days it even pops up with, if you've got directions going, it comes up and it buzzes to say the next bit of the journey, which is really useful. And actually to be able to literally visualize it, you're saying, even just squiggle it around, because a lot of people have, especially if they have ADHD, quite a few people, quite a common thing to have is lack of sense of direction and spatial awareness and stuff. So actually being able to manipulate a map on your phone to really work out and literally follow it, that'd be such a great tool.
Totally, because I remember when that was 2011, and I remember having a folder of all the stuff and making sure everything was really organised. So I think that's when my autism was kicking in, but and making sure I knew exactly where things were. And it just gave me that sense of relief. And if I lost that folder, I'd go into a bit of a panic.
Yeah.
But then being on the other side, the ADHD, like just kind of like winging it and doing last minute. So it just depended which one was presenting on which particular day.
Which one's in the lead that day.
How regulated I was feeling, you know.
Yeah. Because then one of the other things about kind of running off that when you're bouncing about and transporting, one of the great things I really noticed about having a screen and your phone on you all the times is, so like if I'm on the tube, if I'm up in London and I'm on the tube and it's a little bit busy or I'm just a bit mentally cooked, then I've got all these things on my phone on just this one thing, so I'm not having to carry loads and loads of weight, which I used to do, carry a massive bag full of everything I could possibly need. And I'd just be like, why does my neck hurt? I wonder why. But I can just, bring up a book on my phone and disappear into that at a moment's notice.
Yeah, 100%. And I was the same with you. I probably wouldn't open my books when I was at uni, but I'd make sure I had every single book there just in case I needed it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, I remember secondary school. Like, the heaviness of my backpack was ridiculous because I'd literally carry everything around with me all the time.
It's funny because I wasn't even thinking of that before, but that's the thing, right?
Yeah, we can compress all these things down into a small thing. And I imagine even at school that's affected in some way, because even just the rise in, I imagine in like sixth form kind of time, college time, like laptops and stuff like that, compressing how much physical stuff you need to carry around, and then you need the same kind of thing. And that's a screen, and actually how much that has changed things in that way, which is great from an accessibility point across the board.
Yeah, totally. And it's in terms of connecting, like with COVID and things like that, and like people that are late diagnosed. I was late diagnosed. Having that information, having those forums, for some people is like a life changer, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, God, yeah.
To feel less isolated when everybody around you is telling you there's something wrong with you, or you're thinking differently, you're just saying things when you shouldn't say things, or when you're trying to be authentic and be yourself and you're told, well, you're authentic and being yourself is wrong. You need to be like this way, and that's the normal way to do things. Normal in inverted commas, whatever that's supposed to do. Right?
Yeah.
So, and it's such having that connection with people, but not feeling judged, they're not being anonymous. It can be really powerful for people to feel validated and feel as though there isn't anything wrong with me. It's just I think differently. And look at all these people who I don't know, but they feel exactly the same. It can be really empowering as well. Having, when people don't feel that outside of the screen, being there, and it can make so much difference to a person feeling misunderstood to being felt, you're okay, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, and actually when I was diagnosed autism, like that was, I think after the initial kind of, oh, this is great, oh wow, that makes so much sense, I feel so validated and seen, and like this makes all the sense in the world, I can start forgiving myself of things. But the thing that came alongside it was I was having all manner of sensory issues that had come back after years of suppression from different medications and zombification. And so I had this period of agoraphobia, intense agoraphobia. Like some days I couldn't even open the curtains because seeing the outside was too much. And the ability to link to communities like talking about, especially like on the autism side of things, and actually go, oh, wait, actually all of this is normal. I'm not completely alone and isolated. Allowed me to not feel completely alone and isolated in a time of literal isolation. And like saying COVID and stuff. And we can link up with people across the world with various different opinions, experiences in various different ways at the touch of a button. In seconds we could be talking to someone. And so we can always find people. And so we always have the potential to be linked, which can be wonderful. I mean, to move us on to the cons, it can also be iffy, let's say.
It can go the opposite way, isn't it? It's just like, there's such a thing as too much information as well.
God, yeah. And actually the awareness we have, even just looking at the news and going, I can read about murders that are happening in every town, in every city, in every place all across the world, and actually absorb the horror of the totality of humanity at the touch of a button. And that's like, I don't actually have the capacity for that. I wonder why. My brain's not made for that.
I find it really overloading. I don't know about you. It's just, I can't watch the news, or like, there's just too much. It's just, and it's overstimulating at times as well, because then they have videos and then they have experiences, people are sharing it, which is important. But for some people, depending on where people are at, it can be really overwhelming. Yeah. And like with young people as well, the amount of emphasis that is put onto screen and using your screen, like for school, because a lot of...
the links.
So the links there, and people do go onto forums, and some of them aren't that healthy. There's some very healthy ones, but it's all about moderation. They're not moderated correctly. Facebook is a perfect example of that, isn't it?
And having the knowledge and wherewithal to interrogate your sources, kind of thing. Not just be like, oh, I read this, someone wrote this, therefore it's true, type of thing. And go, okay, I'm going to go and actually seek out a source with a different view to compare and contrast, and then analyse the position and make up my own opinion. But I think it's so easy these days to read, to absorb stuff in the small amount of time or capacity one may have, and go, okay, that's now the opinion I'm going with, rather than actually, because there's so many out there, like you're saying, so many opinions, so much information, and some of it is just people spouting off without any knowledge at all. Yeah,
the metaphorical word that people call is keyboard warriors, isn't it? Like, the metaphor kind of.
Yeah, the vitriol that people come out with, apropos of nothing, just randomly going, actually, I've decided to take out some stress in my day on you because you have a different opinion to me. No, it doesn't matter if like your actual entire background's different to me. But I'm going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but...
Yeah, right. It's just like, it could be an opportunity to have like a conversation about all the nuances about a certain topic, but you either have extremes though, don't you? When it goes a bad way, you have the extreme of one way or the other, and then people just end up like having these conversations. And if somebody's vulnerable at that moment in time, then it could have a disastrous impact on somebody's mental health. And you hear these stories of people really being impacted, and even online, people that kind of collective bullying as well, where people collectively start agreeing with it, and then one person saying something different.
Yeah,
and this could be
swarm on them.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, unfortunately, what happens to some people in real life and what happens online. You can see those things happen again.
Yeah, and just it can be amplified because of even just the numbers that you're interacting with and the ways that people can misunderstand something, or like a simple misunderstanding, or just autocorrect change that. So actually it ends up being read slightly differently. How quickly that can blow up into quite an extreme situation is terrifying, and it happens a lot.
Yeah, the beauty of being able to have an edit option nowadays than we didn't have.
Yes.
I'm not going to say how long ago because it will show my age, but just that is like being able to have that edit. Like even on WhatsApp now, you can edit your messages.
Yeah,
and I think that makes so much difference because as you said, with the autocorrect and the thing about tone is never told. So you might be saying something, and actually, interestingly, I know we're talking about cons, but I saw on Instagram that how there was a comedy act about how somebody had written something in a very blasé kind of way, and they'd written, "Oh yeah, that's fine," and then the person who responded took it as, "Yeah, that's fine," as like they're being really narky about it, and it was just really funny that you just can't tell the tone.
No, and you also, like, when you write a message, you send it, you never know when that's going to be read, what circumstance. And you got, like, one has to acknowledge the lack of control in that area, but acknowledge that is a potential thing. So being careful of how you craft your message to a certain point, but then us all taking shared responsibility around that and being like, actually, I don't have the capacity to interact with messages right now. So I'm not going to... But it's such a complex potato. Thing.
Complex potato.
Yeah, it's a very complex potato. All the starches are very good. Anyway. Biology. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing.
I think it depends on where I'm at, and I'm not always the same, but I can sometimes, if I'm genuinely in conversation with that person, I can generally kind of sense where they're at. I'm not always right. I'm not going to be that kind of like arrogant and think that I'm always right, but I can always have a feeling when somebody's saying certain things. Like there's this an instinctive thing I have. Like if somebody was going to come to my house for a specific reason, I would know they're going to be coming.
Yeah.
And even though they'd come and gone, I would just know that they're there. So it might be just an instinctive thing. It might be like just an overly sensitive thing, which I used to always be called. But in terms of those things, because not everybody likes that word, that superpower, that really instinctive, overly sensitive superpower, whichever term you want to use.
Yeah.
And I find with neurodivergent people, I think those senses are so heightened that even if it didn't mean it in a negative way, and that's where the con does come in, and that's where it escalates and it starts impacting people's mental health, is because whether it was meant in a bad way or not, it can escalate to a really bad thing. And, you know, if you've got that kind of impulsive nature to just respond straight away, and then other people are not saying the same, it could, you know, it's layers. It could just build. And that's where it can be detrimental.
Well, I mean, an extreme but very prevalent example in the UK is what happened with those killings that happened in around Liverpool, where there was the murders of some children at a dance class, and then like misinformation got out really, really quickly, and it blew up blew up because people were. But then I guess it's we were kind of edging into social media, which in itself, I think that's another topic entirely, isn't it? Neurodivergence and social media. I feel like we could do
the doom scrolling.
Yeah, well, that's kind of it's one that's good on the screen time point of view, because we can lose so much time to doom scrolling, and that easy dopamine, that easy fix of the happy chemical.
Oh God, I remember after I finished here, and I went into my car and I'd been doom scrolling, and I realised it was like an hour later.
Yeah.
Because there were just so many good reels. I was like, oh, that's a good one. I'm going to save that one. Oh, that's another good one. I'm going to put that in I've got it in the collections.
Yeah, have you got loads of collections of just like saved? Yeah, you never actually go back to, but it's just
funny
like...
pets, animals, the religious Islamic ones, family, sisters, dogs, cats.
I need to organise mine.
Oh, God.
No, I'm never going to do it, because I'm never getting around to that. I tend to save them for like, I'll send them to this person. And so I like stock them up to send to different people. But I'm like, I know that I can't send them 50 things at once. So I'll just save it for when I haven't just sent them to.
Oh my God, my sister my sister just goes, stop.
Yeah.
Because I sent her about
this is a bit much now. Okay. Thanks, but stop now.
Yeah. And I'm just like, but no, the last one is really good. Ignore the last 10.
Yeah.
The last one is really good.
But the cat in this one is hilarious. The faces in these cat videos will drive you insane.
Oh my God, yeah. But this is so easily done. And it can be like a fun thing that you're sharing. But at the same time, you're just like, you just could waste so much time, and it's brain numbing. It depends on which perspective you look at it. It can be a good thing that you're looking to distract yourself if you're in a stressful situation, or
and
there's
decompress and stuff.
Yeah, a decompress, a way to just switch your brain off. But at the same time, it can be that if you are that stressed, and I know that from personal experience, that when there've been really stressful things that have happened, especially recently, it gets to the point where you know this isn't helping me.
Yeah.
And probably going for a walk or going to see my horse might be a bit more helpful than me scrolling. But it's like 2 hours later, I'm sat in the car still doing it.
Yeah,
And
the neighbours... It's easy, it's right there, and it takes that. It's doing a bit of dopamine integration and initiation without having to do the doorstep mile of that initial foot out the door type of thing. It's much easier. So for like ADHD brain especially, in terms of executive dysfunction.
Yeah, well, you know that.
Just do one thing and just, I can just do this, and that's more dopamine. That's easy. Just one swipe down, there's more dopamine. Another one. Another one. Another one.
Yeah, exactly. That's the ADHD kicking in. And you know it's bad when you see the neighbour go past you with a walking her, and I'm not joking, this has happened, walking her dog and then coming back.
Yeah.
And then initially
and then they come back from work and you're like... It's 5 hours have passed.
I haven't had that. And I say in inverted commas,
Well, actually, that just made me think of something. Sorry. I have this really weird thing, or quite an interesting relationship with screens, which I don't know if it's it's sensory in some way, but it's always been a thing.
Yeah.
So I get light sensitive migraines.
Right.
And so I've always had a self-limiter on screen time.
Yeah.
I get to a point and I'm like, I need to stop, and I have to stop quite quickly. It doesn't, like, I can't look at screens for that long before I'm like, okay, gonna need to give my eyes a break and my brain a break and go somewhere dark, because otherwise I get a migraine. Really? So it's actually quite useful. It's quite interesting, and I do think it's maybe linked to some sensory light sensitivity, which of course is neurodivergence.
See, with me, I literally have the autistic side of me, which is trying to discipline me, and then my ADHD part is telling the autistic part of me to just get lost.
It's like, but this is shiny.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
So I'll be like, I really should get off. Yeah, I'll go off in 5 minutes. So when it gets to 2:00, I'll leave. So that's the autistic part of me going, leave. Yeah. And then the ADHD part of me going, no, just one more video.
Just one more, be fine.
Yeah, 2:30. It's all right. It's like the snooze button on your when you wake up. You know, the snooze button. You're just like, that's the same. It's like, no, 2:30. Oh, just after 3 reels.
Yeah,
And
it just
then
keeps going, and you can so
like-
easily fall into it.
yeah, like the autistic brain for me is like the parent trying to discipline the child, which is the autistic child.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. But it's so easily done because it's just like these 30-second, however good they are. And you're like, oh, this is a motivational thing. I have to watch it to the end.
Yes. Yeah.
Is what my brain thinks.
Yeah,
I don't know what yours is
that
like.
makes sense.
What's yours like?
I mean, I actually found it was quite fascinating. I think for both of the neurodivergence kind of diagnoses for me, the ADHD and the autism, I found Instagram really, really helpful.
Really?
Yeah, invalidating stuff, helping me self-discover the various things. Oh wait, that isn't just me being weird or stupid. That's what other people, and explaining it in easy ways. Actually, the ADHD, I came to the realization through Instagram little comment thing, ADHD alien comment comics. I was like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. I was like, maybe I should look into this. It's a really interesting thing because it can be a resource, and if you are able to be, I don't know, it's that nuance again, everything in moderation, which actually is an interesting point from the intergenerational angle.
Yes.
In terms of if people, so we're seeing generation Z. That's how you say the last.
That's like part of my
Zed.
name, yeah.
Generation Z. Like they've just grown up with screens, online. It's just a part of their lives. And so the autonomy around whether they're online or not isn't so much a thing.
But I think it's so. This is where the dopamine hit, and if people don't know, but that the kind of like just keeping your brain occupied. Those reels do that, so you get that kind of buzz like you do after. I don't know. Like people get it after like going for a walk or in nature and stuff. So people, if they don't know what a dopamine kick is, it's just that kind of good feeling. You get that with the reels, especially if you see a nice little animal, a nice dog or a horse or whatever your animal of choice is. And it's the same thing. And it is generational, definitely. I 100%.
The expectation, and like if all your friends are doing it, and it's a way to socialize with people. There's that potential positive angle to it, and the social pressure angle, but also you didn't. So like our parents or grandparents grew up in a world without that, and so they did the other.
But I think it's very easily. I've seen people who are older generation get sucked into it.
Yeah.
So this is where the dopamine kick is really, really prevalent because you know. They didn't grow up with it, but it's so addictive, just doing that scrolling, and because of so that's where the con comes in as well. So, but as like for yourself, it was so important in terms of with your discovery and establishing things, and it's such a personal thing. I think it depends on your personality, whether you're neurodivergent or not, as well. But I think with neurodivergent people, it just depends on how they manage things. And where they are.
Yeah, where you are, how you can relate to it, what you can understand in different things. And actually, that's a really good point of from that kind of, it's a personality thing rather than necessarily generational. It's a really interesting conversation.
I think it's really,
I think it's one that actually, like, so if any of our guests have any comments about that and about kind of how you feel you as your generation and intergenerationally, that's a word, relate to screens and stuff. I think that would be a really interesting stuff to have people's feedback about. And as ever, just if anything we've talked about really hits you, makes you go, oh, actually, or you got any comments on things or things you'd like us to talk about, or tips and tricks you found really useful about screen time, or that you'd like to have tips and tricks about, because we can ask people in the future about things. Please do get in touch, comment or give us an email, message, all the tech savvy things that we have. I don't think we have the ability to do letters anymore.
No, I don't think we do.
Send us a courier. By first mail in the morning.
Yeah, like snail mail is like old school, like by post. Like who sends post?
Love that.
I love
That would
it.
be great.
I
I'd
love-
to get a letter.
I-
Handwritten letter.
I like printed stuff.
Yeah. So if you can work out how to get us a letter, please do.
It'd be so nice, a handwritten letter, not
Yeah.
a typed one, a handwritten.
Yeah.
We've
so
been
that-
quite specific.
That's now the neurodivergent distraction task. That's the side quest task.
Yeah, back to the question.
for this. If you've got any tips or tricks about managing screen time, as it's screen free this week or something like that, a snappy title, then please do let us know. Any thoughts on how you manage your screen time, if you're neurodivergent or not, because actually the crossover between the two is a really interesting one. And yeah, get in touch, let us know, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, that's it for this episode. You can follow us on Instagram at life.inthemind. Our other socials are linked in our bio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you next time.